So you grab this bit of cheese, right? Now how can we admire it once we have it? A lot of games have them, but not mine yet, and I must admit I'm not a massive fan of building UIs. In Godot so far I've basically made just a pause menu, and it only contains like 3 buttons. Godot does seem to make the UI creation process relatively pain-free though. First I used a grid container to set up some basic buttons for my items list. Navigating and focus on buttons is all handled by Godot. Praise be the Godot gods. Also you can put this in a scroll container which shows a scroll widget when needed. One thing that did stump me for a second though was Godot's focus and highlighting, which I thought would be the same feature. Highlighting only runs when your mouse is over the button, but focus seems to happen when you use keyboard navigation to navigate. Because I want to give people choice on how they play, either with a mouse and keyboard or a controller, I wrote some code to pull focus to a button when highlighted, so mouse behaviour matches controller navigation. I made some designs for different item categories. Whenever I do designs and I'm not convinced, I tend to sleep on it and make a decision on the design with a fresh mind. I think the second iteration is better, but let me know what you think. Godot's tab bar seems a bit more limited at displaying textures compared to a text 2D node, which is a little frustrating. You see, my canvas layer of the UI has a 1920 by 1080 resolution, so I can safely do things like have button scaling animations when you put your mouse over the button. This means I need to scale up my pixel art on the UI. I can do this easily with the texture 2D node, but not with tab icons, so I had to make larger PNGs, which is not optimal, and I might need to revisit this further down the line. I applied a lot of the same workflow to make a little quest list in another tab of the inventory. The purpose of this tab is to kind of remind you who you've talked to and embellish the story a little with descriptions and drawings. I think the pixel art font might need a bit of an update though, maybe a slightly higher resolution to make it more readable. I think it works for titles, but for longer bits of text like this, it can kind of hurt your brain after a while. For both tabs, I'm building the buttons when you open the inventory. That way, any recently collected item or quest is displayed. I have a world state script which keeps track of everything, including any NPC dialogue that you've seen, player positions, all of that. My inventory reads from this to determine what it should display. If the player doesn't have many items yet, I fill out the rest of the inventory with empty slots that you can't select. After creating more items for the inventory, I started realizing the number of files in my project is starting to get a bit wild. So I spent some time doing a little organization of folders and color coding them. I have data in yellow, scenes in red, and scripts in green. I'm also using Control P a lot more to search stuff these days. In the last video I made an outline shader that highlights items when you're near them. I've now extended this a bit to work with the torch. I had a long hard stare at my current level design and realised I might need to put this outline across NPCs and other interactables when you're close enough to them. It's going to be helpful discerning what is just background from something that is important to the game. On this chain of thought, I put in a feature to have the player talk to themselves and reflect on what you're seeing in certain parts of the environment. This is going to be quite fun, I think, to write in future, and it's going to help add to the story. If you'd like to continue seeing the progress of this game as it's being developed, please consider subscribing. It would be super appreciated. Bye for now.